Hi there, good noon, and welcome to yet another practice session where you and I sit down together and achieve greatness. हाँ, साथ में बैठेंगे, काम करेंगे और फोकस क्या है? गलतियों से सीखना और थोड़ा जो स्किल्स हैं उनकी प्रैक्टिस करना. So, बात की बात में we have reached our session number 24 today, and as usual we'd go through a passage for sure, but then we also have some verbal ability lined up. Haven't worked on para summary questions for a while, तो आज अपन करेंगे पैराग्राफ समरी वाले सवाल उसके साथ. Hi Sonali, Nishant, Tarun, how are you guys doing? Hope life is treating you well. Huh? So let's dive into this. Those of you who are new, welcome to BYJU'S exam prep channel dedicated to your success. My name is Vikrant Kathuria and I act as your personal coach for all things related to English and communication, right? And as usual, we just center ourselves, take a couple of deep breaths, and we'd get into our passage, which is followed by 4 questions. Ready? सोनाली बोल रही ह्यूमिडिटी बढ़ रही है. इससे ज़्यादा तो क्या ही बढ़ेगी यार. मतलब या तो बाहर बारिश हो जाए, नहीं तो ये अंदर जो बारिश हम कर रहे हैं, हाँ, स्वेटिंग लाइक क्रेजीज मैन. आई बीन स्वेटिंग लाइक पिग्स सिंस लास्ट इवनिंग. You cannot even stay away from an AC or a fan for even a couple of minutes. That's tough. It's brutal. अरे क्या हो गया, मेरे एंड पे ही सेशन नहीं चल रहा. What's wrong? Why I would not be able to see your messages if that happens? Okay, so get ready for the very first passage. Let's go ahead and dive into the session then. A session which somehow मेरे सेकंड स्क्रीन पे चल नहीं रहा. मैं मैसेज कैसे पढ़ूंगा तुम्हारे. चलो देखते हैं. Let me see if I can just set it up using some other way. Ready? Okay, so here is the passage on your screen. Please go through it. I normally go paragraph by paragraph, but this was a huge paragraph. I could not fit it all onto a single slide. तो ये last में आप देख रहे हैं, this basically tells you that there is a continuation. 3-4 lines और हैं. You'd see that on the next slide. Once you are done with this, let me know and I can take you over to the next page. Hi Shri. Jwala. It's a nice name, huh? Suddenly you say this and you are all charged. Good afternoon guys. Please read it, and the moment you're done reading it, let me know so that I can take you over to the next slide. गुड आफ्टरनून प्रत्युषा. और इधर प्रत्युष यार ध्यान नहीं रहता यार. एक तो ना अपने इधर के नाम कई बार ऐसे हो जाते हैं. आई थिंक इट इज़ प्रत्युष. आई रिमेंबर हैविंग दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन अर्लियर विद यू समवेयर. Okay, Sonali, fantastic. Here is the next part of that paragraph. हाय श्रद्धा. मोटिवेशनल वर्ल्ड. चल मोटिवेशनल वर्ल्ड कोई मोटिवेटिंग सी कोट डाल दे यार चैट में साथ साथ. Done with these lines? Okay, Sonali has confirmed it. Here is the next paragraph. Okay, Mohit, remind me once we are done with the passage and I'll answer this question, okay? Otherwise, those who are reading and focusing, they may get sidetracked by our discussion. Okay, so next. Archie Joshi. But that's a new spelling of Archie that I see today. Okay, Sonali is through. Sangamesh, once you say done, I'll switch. चलो कर ही देता हूँ यार. Okay, there you go. So Sangamesh has also said done, so I've switched it over immediately. Okay, and here comes the last paragraph. Mohit, this is where we sit and practice. So, of course, we don't really pick up basics normally. Basics are generally given in the batches. तो अगर आप बैच में हैं तो वहाँ से बेसिक्स ले सकते हैं. बेसिक्स में आपको कोई डाउट हो आप बिल्कुल पूछ सकते हैं. I'd love to help you with that. Otherwise just join in यार, कुछ तो सीखेंगे ही हम, है ना? Okay, so ready for the questions? Here is the first question. It can be inferred from the passage that so what's your answer? So when it comes to inference, what do we do? True, false, can't say, right? Now A says Kepler was the founding father of modern physics. Can't say. This expression has not been used anywhere, and therefore A won't work. B, Newton's theory of universal gravitation was solely based on Kepler's laws. It definitely used them, but then was it solely based on those laws? Remember, he stood on the giants of quite a few others as well. Tycho, Galileo, Descartes, right? So solely will actually be false, and if not false, then at least can't say, even if you don't dig deep. C, Kepler was the greatest physicist of his generation. Can't say. There is not enough data to determine that. Tycho was an imperial mathematician. That's true. See, let me take you back to that relevant part. Here it is. Tycho was dead and Johannes had inherited the role of imperial mathematician. If you inherited it, it means that Tycho held that role. Now that he was dead, you got it as a legacy. So D is true, and that is why our answer here should be option D. Oh yes, Vedant. It's a very inspiring story, and in fact, most of us who've studied science know about Kepler. Huh? So that's fabulous. Okay, next question number 2. What is the primary purpose of the passage? Okay. Vedanta, I see that. All right. So A says to give a brief account of the life of renowned physicist Johannes. What do you know about his life? Tell me. What do you know? Where was he born? What kind of family was he born in? What do we know about his early childhood, his schooling, his college, his family, siblings, offspring, colleagues? We know nothing. So yeah, I mean, even if you give a brief account, you'd at least give some bare-bone details of that person's life, which this passage does not really contain. But if you compare A with C, C is better than A. You notice we are just focused on, he had this light bulb moment. We're like, oh, planets. Ptolemy is not right. Copernicus sounds right. And then he calculated. Calculations were not right. He was looking for precise observational data. So by chance, Tycho was moving, so he applied to Tycho's office. Tycho hired him. A year later, Tycho passed away. So he got all that precise observational data, and he went on to write 4 treatises after that. So let's discuss this. Now, if I pick up B, look at the question. It says primary purpose of the paragraph. is the primary focus on Newton's law of gravitation. Think of the most popular story that is associated with Newton's law of gravitation. Newton sitting, apple falling. It does not even mention that or anything similar. So the passage is not about events which led to the discovery of Newton's law of gravitation. The passage is about Johannes Kepler. It is in order to tell us the importance of his work. It is in order to tell us that, his work was so phenomenal and so instrumental for physics that it even contributed to Newton. Newton was generally considered the giant in the field of physics and mathematics. Right? So that is a very clear distortion of the main idea. And D once again is, I think none of you have picked it up, so I can rule it out. So the best answer choice is actually C. Think of two questions. What is the subject matter of the passage? Is it laws of gravitation? Is it Kepler? The subject matter is Kepler's work. And it is written in a narrative style, informative style, and therefore I think C is going to be the best choice for us. And in fact, okay, since you've ruled out D, I'm not really talking more about it. Question number 3 for you. What's your take? But this time around, let me highlight which one of the following cannot be inferred. Okay, so keep that in mind while answering it. I remember आखिरी बार cannot वाला सवाल पूछा, लोग infer वाला बताने लग गए. So ऐसा नहीं करेंगे अपन. Okay, so I'm getting B and D and anything else? Okay, so let's see. Kepler was influenced by Copernicus's theory of revolutionary cosmology. True, you just need to refer to the first paragraph. Okay, B. Kepler staunchly believed in God. Let me take you back to the relevant part once. This is where God is. But why, Johannes wondered, had God made only 6 planets, and why had he arranged their orbits in the particular proportions that he had? There must be an answer. God would not make an unintelligible universe. So basically from this we can say that Johannes Kepler believed in the existence of God, but from this can we say that he staunchly he staunchly believed in God. So when you are a staunch believer, you agree to whatever that person says. Now say, let us say my neighbor is building a house. I look at some weird pattern in his front yard and I say, why would my neighbor do this? I can question my neighbor. I can think of what my neighbor was thinking of. But then it does not mean that I believe in my neighbor. And therefore B is something that cannot be determined. Kepler was able to improve upon the works of Copernicus. Yes. Remember in the passage there is this sentence. Let me just try and locate it. This sentence actually used the word further, if I remember it correctly. Yup. Since there were only 5 platonic solids, there could only be 6 planetary spheres. The beauty of this geometry was further proof of the truth of Copernican astronomy. So when you say further truth, if you discover further truth, you were able to add something to it. So C is also true. Kepler did not believe in the Ptolemaic system of astronomy. Yes, very first paragraph, Ptolemy said Earth is at the center, but Kepler leaned more towards Copernican theory. So this is definitely false, and that is why Sorry, not false. This is true. So that is why our answer should be option B. See, Misha, if all I know is that Kepler believed in the existence of God, but did he staunchly believed in God? When you're a staunch believer, you go by everything that the entity says. मतलब भगवान ने बोला है तो गलत नहीं होगा, ये ही सही होगा. That is a staunch believer. But then how do I know on the basis of this passage that he was a staunch believer in God? Come to think of it, if you're a believer, then you go by what is told to you by that entity that you believe in, or by that person that you believe in. And staunch basically means hardcore believer. Like, sahi hoga. So I have nothing in the passage that can help me arrive at staunchly, but everything else is of course backed up by the passage. Everything else is true. So we could have arrived at it through elimination as well. And here is one last kind of inference based question for you. Let's see how you deal with it. Yep, so A is true, B is false. When he read that his book Mysterium, he was actually impressed by the maths. C, were based Newton's laws of motion. Can't say. Newton's law of gravitation was based on Kepler's works. Motion we don't know. And then D, Kepler discovered the foundational laws of modern astronomy on his own. He leaned towards Copernicus, and then he used the data of Tycho. All those things contributed. So on his own will not be the right thing to say, and that is why our answer here should be option A. Sangamesh, refer to that part. In fact, let me take it back, since there is only one issue that we need to discuss. Check. Tycho, look at who had been impressed by the mathematical mind behind Mysterium. Agreed. So he connected with Tycho. Tycho already knew his work. So to say that he was initially not impressed will not be right. Okay, so A it is. So that's about the passage, but here are the next 3 questions. In each one of these questions, you'll get a short paragraph followed by 4 alternate summaries. So choose the best summary as your answer. So here is the deal. I have split every question into 2 slides. The first slide gives you the paragraph at a proper readable font size. Okay. The next slide will have the paragraph along with the answer choices, but the font size will be of course smaller. अब सारा कुछ तो नहीं फिट हो पाता एक स्लाइड में, है ना, तो थोड़ा font size को adjust कर लेने का, पढ़ा जाएगा hopefully. So here is question number 5. The paragraph, read this, take out the key idea along with the core points being made, and then go to the options and start eliminating. We read the paragraph. Can I take you over to the question now? There you go. अरे मोटिवेशनल वर्ल्ड कोई बात नहीं, पैराग्राफ है ना यार इधर साथ में, अपने पास पूरा है, सो चिंता नहीं कर. Okay, I'm getting A, I'm getting D. So when I look at option A, I'd say that option A happens to have what I call deletion. So this talks about the first half of the passage, yes, but it does not talk about the second half. Apart from this deletion, do you notice that there is also a distortion? So what is that distortion? Look at this word, always. It does not say always. The paragraph says one important driving force. They do not always do that. It's important, yes. Okay, and then the other one that you've picked up is D. So let's compare. Initial driving force in mathematics was to find ways to mirror the behavior of the physical world, and the quest led to deeper and broader similarities like imaginary numbers. So yes, this deeper and broader similarities, look at this. And then imaginary numbers, an example, it could have been skipped, but at least D gives you the second half as well. Right, and that is why we should prefer D over A. So D does not have a deletion, it does not have a distortion, and that's better, that's amazing, it's better than A. Okay, let's move over to our next question type, next question, not question type, here it is. Read it? मतलब यार Socrates ना, amazing. Whatever I have read about him, the way he dealt with his death, his impending death, he was given capital punishment, and even the trial, he was so sharp, he could have easily managed to get acquitted, but नहीं, मतलब वहाँ भी जूरी वालों से पंगे लिए, उनको नीडल किया इतना के there were two stages back in the day, okay, where first up people had to say whether he has done something wrong or not, and then the next stage was what kind of punishment should we give. And in the first stage, I think there were around 25 people, if I remember the number correctly, 14 so out of those 25, I think 14 thought that he's guilty, and the remaining 11 said that no, not guilty. But thereafter, in between that and the sentencing, he made another argument, after which he managed to turn quite a few more people against him. Then 17 of them said, isko to maro, isko to matlab capital punishment de do. But what a fabulous attitude and personality. Okay, to goad is to push. वो होता नहीं है, you look at these cattle, okay, sheep, cows, buffaloes. Remember, there are times when you push them or prod them with the help of a stick to move them towards a particular direction. That is goading. Here is the question for you. Let's go ahead and answer this. मैंने ना एक आंसर चॉइस इसमें ऐसी है जिसमें तुमको फंसाने के लिए हल्का सा दिमाग लगाया है. लेट अस सी इफ यू फॉल इनटू दैट ट्रैप और नॉट. I've very deliberately created a pitfall for you here. Okay, so let me tell you about that pitfall. I am going to highlight a part. I want you to look at it. Answer choice A. Is this consistent with the passage? Did he say that it will make us good persons? What he says is that forthcoming death goading us on the better to live our lives. So basically saying it should make our decision making better. So that would basically means that we'd be able to live better lives. Better lives is equal to good persons. Does that mean that we were not good persons prior to that? So this good persons bit is a distortion. Okay, B is great. We should always keep death firmly in our minds and try to live full lives. So there are two problems. Number one, full lives is not mentioned in the paragraph. Number two, it misses out on this fear of death part mentioned in the first half. So even if you do not mention philosophers, I'd perhaps be still okay. But then mention getting rid of the fear of death as well. So that's a problem with B. C, philosophers emphasize the importance and inevitability of death so that we would live our lives more fully. Once again, full lives. Moreover, where is that fear of death? And this talks about philosophers, but then a very basic reasoning thing. We are talking about two philosophers, Socrates and Montaigne. So philosophers say this, or two philosophers say this. And then D, according to certain philosophers. Now this is better than C, right? We should not be frightened of death, but always keep it in our minds so that we can lead better lives. Now you notice? It has certain philosophers. It talks about getting rid of the fear of death. It talks about keeping death in our mind so that you are able to live better lives. Captures every single key point. And that is why D should be the best answer choice for us. Right? So you notice every answer choice has some deletion, some distortion, some addition, some generalization. Sri, that depends. That strictly depends. That depends on whether that name was a key point or not. Okay, so there is no formula as such, but it all depends on the purpose behind that name. Okay, and with that, here is your next paragraph, and in 30 seconds I'll switch over to the next slide, which will have the options as well. Come on, let's go. Shraddha, overrated नहीं है. When we say computers have artificial intelligence, okay, here are the options. When we say computers have artificial intelligence, तो मतलब अपने जैसे हो जाएंगे. अपन बड़े समझदार हो गए. दुनिया छोड़ो, यहाँ खुद को कंट्रोल किया नहीं जाता हमसे. We are supposed to manage ourselves, right? We are not able to manage ourselves that well. I think if computers become like us, if they acquire that kind of intelligence, they will probably also sit on a sofa and watch TV all day long. It's only as long as they have some machine-like characteristics that you should be you should be worried about that. अपने जैसा बना दो, कुछ काम नहीं होना फिर उनसे. फिर वो भी आ करके ना ऐसे पूछा करेंगे, सर थोड़ी मोटिवेशन दे दो सर, काम नहीं हो रहा सर. Okay, Virender, I see your answer. Nishant. Sri, that was fast. Good, good, good. Angela. Sonali, meme-tastic. Ooh. Meme-tastic. Suddenly my hopes from the memes given by you has become higher. Misha. And okay, I think absolutely, I think the correct answer is C. The problem with D is if AI possesses human-like intelligence. We're talking about human level intelligence or artificial intelligence, then it should be considered a person. That's not the core point. See, the core point is you should apply the same sort of, in fact, look at this, moral considerations that you would generally apply to a person. And that's why C is better than D. So the core point is actually made in the first half, and thereafter it is just more of an explanation or an elaboration. In the second half, the author is essentially trying to help us visualize that abstract concept. The idea is moral considerations. So when you deal with other persons, you have this notion of what is right and what is wrong, how you should behave or act, right? But when you deal with a computer, you may not have those considerations yet. The author says that if they have that artificial intelligence or human level intelligence, they should be treated as, they should be extended the same sort of moral considerations, right? And that's why C is better than D. It is not about just being considered a person. The core is extend them the same moral thought. So that's what I had brought for you for the practice of the questions. And here is a thought for you. If you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. वो थी ना स्कूल में भी अपने को एक proverb पढ़ाई थी ना, you can take a horse to the water tank but you cannot make it drink. So if somebody who's not willing to learn won't learn. But then is the second half which I find very powerful. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. Remember 3 Idiots? School जाने के लिए खाली uniform लगती है. And we live in a world where knowledge is all around us. So if you want to become excellent, nobody can stop you. For more practice, you can head over to BYJU'S Exam Prep app where you'd find a daily section-wise quiz. Additionally, we keep on conducting a lot of other sessions. Here is the next one. It's a workshop taken by Saral. So if you have not started your CAT prep yet, you should. Okay. You know about BYJU'S Exam Prep, right? We have a proven course which has produced amazing results. You too can join this comprehensive program and benefit from it. There are 2 things that can make the decision easy for you. Number 1, you can unlock a 3-day free trial that will tell you what the course is all about, है ना? Sample करते हैं ना अपन, test drive लेते हैं ना? So test drive लेके देखो, और उसके बाद discounts. 25th of June is the scholarship test. तो एक तो ऑलरेडी प्राइस बड़ा रीजनेबल सा है, उसके ऊपर डिस्काउंट्स. व्हाट मोर डू यू वांट? हाँ. एंड देन मोहित, योर क्वेश्चन वाज, यार क्वेश्चन भी दोबारा फ्लैग कर दे भाई, मुझे ढूंढना पड़ेगा. क्या था सवाल? वीरेंद्र, थैंक यू. व्हाट वाज मोहित्स क्वेश्चन अर्लियर? अच्छा, वो बेसिक्स. व्हाट डू यू रीड? यार मैंने बुक्स तो रेकमेंड किए, बाकी इफ यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द कैट देन हियर आर 4 वेबसाइट्स. सो इयन एसेज, न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स, गार्डियन एंड स्मिथसोनियन. Okay, you can read more things from here, and that should help. So that's it from me today. If you liked the session, don't forget to press the like button, and I look forward to meeting you guys once again in our next session with some more practice questions to continue on this journey of becoming excellent, right? So that's it from me today. Until I see you next, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch. Have a great day ahead. See you soon.